Hey, you guys, welcome back to Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend podcast. You guys, last week we left off on some really heavy stuff. We were going over what Jamaica Richards, the therapist at the middle school, used to say about me. We're going over what the teacher at EKU said about me, Leslie Hardman. We're going over all of this stuff. You guys, it is very public knowledge. It's like in a lawsuit, all this stuff. And it was almost 10 years ago, so I don't even know if that OT even works there anymore. She might, but I don't think she does. So we should be all right with that. So we left off with going over this paper that this Jamaica Richards put on there, where she tried to fail me and say all this bad stuff about me, and said that I needed improvement, I needed this, trying to say that I had a disability when I never actually told her. But it was interesting because the teacher and me had just had a conversation like 2 weeks before this, me and Leslie Hardman, and yeah, so this is kind of how that went. So then also we left off on 25. Supportive of clients and peers. It is difficult to be supportive of clients when you do react or speak to them as well as coworkers. So I guess she was saying that it is difficult to be supportive of clients when you do not react or speak to them as well as coworkers. I do not know what she means there, but okay. Then we go to contacts instructor for help at appropriate times of day. The reason I scored her 2 was because her inability to communicate with me throughout the school day about her observations and observed to increase her ability in note writing. Hey, you guys, she normally sent me to the FMD room the majority of the times I went there. The only day that she did not, again, that she never sent me to the FMD room was the day that the other girl did not show up because it was fall break and you didn't have to go. Okay? I went for my own personal learning. But she proceeded to only talk about that day because that was the only day that she spent the entire day with me. Okay? And that was the week after I had been talked to by my teacher, Leslie Hardman, telling me that I was going to fail, and just going on about how I shouldn't work with children in middle school and how I had such bad deficits and all of these things. Okay, so that's where my headspace was when this woman starts writing all this stuff about me. She also said, works efficiently in the group. Magenta is not an effective team member. She does not communicate with other staff members, but observes and watches. Well, how am I supposed to interrupt a speech therapy and occupational therapy group time together and not know if they are the speech therapy person or if they're the OT's person? Because it wasn't made known. Okay, you guys? It was not made known. I think that I was only introduced on the first day, and I was not interacted with any more than that. And it was all a group thing. So I don't know how you just jump in a group and interrupt it. I feel like I would have been interrupting. I don't know. That was just... Anyway, so she is not a contributing member. When observing in groups, I did observe her checking her phone several times as well as eating snacks while group went on. She had a lunchtime of 35 minutes and 5 to 10 minutes between groups to eat snacks and use her phone. So if I was looking at my phone, it was probably to see the time, because I know I wasn't looking at anything else at that time. And if I was eating snacks, I don't know why. I think because she would send me to the FMD room around the lunchtime. And again, we were only doing groups. I did not feel like I was able to do anything with these children in the OT area, because all she wanted to do was groups with her in speech therapy, which she is leaving out that the groups had the speech therapist leading the group. She was leading the group. The speech therapist would lead the groups, you guys. No OT would sit there. what do you want me to do if she's leading the group, a speech therapist is leading the group, and the OT is just sitting there? What do you want me to do? I didn't see the OT doing anything else, so how would I know to do anything else? This is my first time in a school setting, and this is what she showed. Really? And then it says, demonstrates ability to relinquish leadership and follow. Magenta is a follower and an observer. She brings nothing to the table as a group member. Magenta may have great knowledge of OT base, but she is unable to communicate it and show it with others. Okay. Well, what do you want to know about the OT base, you guys? Like, what do you want to know? I mean, is unable to communicate with others. I was, because she wasn't doing what OTs were supposed to do. She wasn't doing what I had learned that an OT was supposed to do, because, you guys, she was only doing what the speech therapist would do. She was not doing what I considered OT practice. And you want to know something else? I was supposed to do an intervention with one of the people that she had, and she told me she was only doing a way younger level of activities for this boy than she should have been doing with him. So when I went to make an intervention, I was told it wasn't age appropriate, because this woman told me he was on a 3rd grade level and he was learning his ABCs. So I did an ABC learning activity, and they told me that it was under his grade level, and that because I had a disability, I couldn't teach this child. But I was told by the OT that was his level of learning. And you know what? Her lies and her manipulation and her yapping her mouth all the time was just a problem to me. So of course I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But clearly they don't want that. They want you to talk. I don't want to interrupt you. I want to hear you. I want to learn about this person and the child and what they had needed. They didn't need group therapy together, doing the same writing worksheet all together at one time, okay? They needed their individual own therapy, and then maybe a group therapy every once in a while. Not every day doing the exact same thing, okay? That's all I'm going to say. That's all I got to say. That was just depressingly sad. Okay, so then assist with the problem and resolution. One problem has been identified. Magenta was unable to focus on anything else but her grades for this. She was fixated on grades, and she missed opportunities to interact with students. She missed a lot of excellent hands-on and learning opportunities. You guys, again, in this therapy, they only did worksheets that the speech therapist would pick out every day, and that's what they would do. I don't know how I missed out on it, because I didn't agree with what she was doing. And who am I as a student to, correct the OT who was doing it wrong, And then my relationship with my teacher at the time was not good enough for me to say, hey, I don't like what my OT does during the week, Because every time I had already tried to express a concern, I was either belittled, told I was basically didn't know what I was talking about, said I am the student, they are the teacher, things like that. And I wasn't about to go into that. I was not about to go into that. So then on 10/27, I asked Colleen Schnick, the chair of OT, if it was possible to get a new teacher for the fieldwork site. Oh, this is important. I had 6 weeks left of the class, and it would have allowed me to get all my work done if I had met, and I recorded that meeting. So you guys, I had 6 weeks to get my paper, to get all my work done, if they would have just let me redo my level 1 fieldwork with a different OT and a different teacher. And I begged for a different teacher. I begged for them to switch me out with a different teacher and just start my curriculum over in October of 2017. I begged them to allow me to do that, and they told me that I couldn't get the work done on time. You guys, let me tell you something. As we continue to go on here, you're going to find out that I did go and have, I had to retake that class. And I'll tell you right now, I retook that class in 6 to 3 weeks in January of 2018, and I took it with a different teacher that didn't know anything about my disability, and I also took it with a OT. I think that someone had talked to that OT about my disability because I never mentioned it to this woman, and she seemed very angry when I didn't ask for accommodations or I didn't ask for any type of special treatment when I went to that, which we will be talking about. And you guys, I passed that class with an A. How do you go from having a 16-week course to a 6-week course, fail the 16-week course, but pass with an A in the next course that was even faster paced than the one we just had? Oh, that's right. I had a different teacher who wasn't biased. Had a teacher I hadn't talked to. Very interesting. How do you go from an F to an A within a few weeks? Oh, that's right. I knew the stuff that I was supposed to do. They just weren't supporting me, and they were being, what? Strategically trying to fail me. Yes, they did. EKU strategically tried to fail me, and I guess that they succeeded in what they thought was strategically planned. But I saw everything because I was an observer, you guys. I observed. I listened. And I heard a lot of things that I should not have ever heard. But since I was an observer and I didn't yap my mouth, I certainly heard all the things that I wasn't supposed to hear. And I saw all the things that I wasn't supposed to see. Because why? I was quiet. And you couldn't see me come. And that is why I stayed quiet. I learned all the drama without having to be in it. Except they were making me part of it. Yeah. So anyway, date unknown, OT at Georgetown. So they were planning on taking me to a OT in Georgetown, and I was supposed to be going and looking at their level 2 field work, and they kept saying that everything worked out. I might be able to come in January, and obviously I knew I was failing. They knew that I was failing before I did. So when I went to look at this level 2 field work of OT, and I didn't tell this OT why I was going to look at their field work placement, and I didn't tell them anything about me, and they said if everything worked out, I might be able to go there in January. What did that mean, you guys? It meant that someone had told an OT that I was just going there to look at their stuff, but I was failing out of OT school because I had disabilities, and was telling people I didn't even know about my disability, about me failing school, and all of these things. Who was telling them about it? Why were they talking about me? Like, I don't understand, and I never did. She kept asking me if there was anything that I would like to tell her and that I thought she should know. Anything that I thought she should know, she already knew because someone told her that I had a disability. And I never told her about accommodations or disability because why would I tell someone I was just going to observe her work, to observe what she was doing? As an observer, I shouldn't have to tell you anything about me like that. And I didn't really like that. And you could just tell that someone had told this woman at this clinic about me. And that was a problem. I really didn't like that. So then in November of 2017, I requested to have a grade appeal for the occupational therapy department. During this appeal, I was denied, and I needed to apply I had to apply my appeal to the dean of the Equity and Inclusion Office, and they had to take over. So I had to go to the Equity and Inclusion Office, and that is where the lawyer John Dixon comes into play, because this is where they investigate things that go wrong at the schools, and they are there, of course, obviously to protect the school from any problems that they might have. And here is where we start to get even more problems. So then in the beginning of December of 2017, I was trying to appeal to the dean of the science department, and John Dixon told me that he wanted to make a deal with me and that I would have to stop doing this appeals process to to get this deal, or he couldn't make a deal with me. So EKU wanted to make a deal with me because they had extensively been talking to me from probably December to November about everything that happened with Leslie Hardman and how she reacted and what she did wrong and what she did. And he was telling me that I couldn't continue with the appeals process if I wanted to make a deal with him. So I had to make a deal with EKU. What do you think was in that deal? Yeah. So that deal was a contract. So Lori Davis, my disability director, also told me that it was too late for me to file accommodations appeal. So that was also upsetting because, you guys, at this point I had accommodations from Leslie Hardman. They were talking about me. They were telling people I had failed. They had denied my appeal. I had to continue to appeal. And I felt like I was done so wrong because that wasn't the accurate representation of me. And where this teacher had continued to degrade me and put me down, I was just fed up with it. So I did go to the Equity and Inclusion office because that was like one of the last steps that I knew you could do once I found out that you did have to do that. And then on 12/17 on the phone with John Dixon, I verbally agreed to this contract. And this contract, you guys, said that I could go back to EKU's occupational therapy program. They would erase my F off of my grade. I wouldn't have to pay for that class that I had just failed. That they would allow me to retake that class for free, and EKU wouldn't charge me for it. And then the problem that I didn't like about this deal was that if I failed level 2 fieldwork, they would have said that the first failure that Leslie Hardman gave me counted as a failure. And that should have never been allowed because that was not a failure. You don't go from an F to an A in like less than a month in the same exact class if you had problems with the class. You know what I mean? If I had gotten a C in level 1 fieldwork when I went back to do it in 2018, then, I would have understood. But I didn't make a D, I didn't make a C, and I didn't even make a B. Okay, you guys, I made an A. And you can't go from an F to an A. But you know what? I decided, I'm going to try again. I'll do better. I'm going to do it. Guess what? I signed that contract with EKU on 12/27, right before 2018. And when I signed that contract, I was excited. But you know what? They broke that contract. They broke it. And when I tell you guys they broke it, they broke it. I had to pay for all of my entire semester of spring of 2018, and I had to pay for that class that I had to retake that I should have never had to pay for. And this is about to get really interesting when we get into what happened in 2018, because it's just about to get even more horrific, in all honesty, with how they acted. And really where you can see they strategically planned their attacks on what they did to me. I really wish, you guys, that I could find all of these things that I could show you their emails that they had wrote to me and what we wrote, because that would just give you so much more context into exactly what was happening at that time. But I think everything got lost or stolen, and I just don't have it. And I'm actually quite sad about that because I had so much evidence and it was just unreal, what I had. And so now I only have what I sent the lawyer and what the lawyer decided that he wanted to keep. So, yeah, we're going to go into 2018 very soon, but I wish I had more of the papers that these people really just talk so bad about me, but I don't have to the next phase of field work. And, you guys, I know that this was just a piece of my life, and it was for like a couple years of it, but you guys, when I go back to really just think about it, I haven't thought about this in a couple years, because honestly I was trying to just heal and learn about what the Lord had in store for me, and things like that, and I was broken. I mean, I was just devastated, because I'd never had so many people just try to fail a person and really just look at the negative at a person over and over again, so much to try to destroy this person's mental health and like where they thought they were going to go in life. And that's what these people did. They truly did that, and I really just wish that I could have brought you guys along 10 years ago. Well, not 10 years, but like at least 8 years ago, 7 years ago. When this was really going on, the lawyer told me that I wasn't allowed to talk about it, and I wish you guys I could have talked about it. I remembered every single detail, every single step. It was like I was living it over and over again every day. And I feel like to be able to have talked about it with you guys would have been so good. So here's what I gotta say. If someone ever tells you not to talk about something, talk about it anyway. You have freedom of speech, and you know what? If it's gonna make you feel better, do it. Because you know what? I wish I could have done that years ago. Because this needed to be heard. This deserved to be heard. And it wasn't. I didn't get my day in court. I didn't get my trial. And what they did was wrong. They stole from me. They lied. They called me names. They belittled me. They did this. Imagine what they do to other people. I know a person that was going to try to do OT, but she had some kind of leg disability. They told her because she had a disability that she should not be in OT. Plain and simple. They told her that. And I'm like, how many other people did they tell that had a disability that they shouldn't be in OT? And they actively tried. And so, that's wrong. That's just so wrong. And it's hurtful. And it's just not how it should be. So, I mean, I really don't know what else to say in regards to that, you guys, besides I'm going to just share what I can, and if you guys have questions, please feel free to, send me them, tell me them, let's have conversations, because this stuff needs to be told, and so if you guys have a story that you want to tell, it doesn't even have to be like this. Each one of us has our own stories to tell, and I just want to be able to help you tell your story, because life is hard and someone needs to listen. And you know what? At the time that I was going through this, I needed someone to listen, and no one was listening. And so I just want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being my friend. I want you to know that you're amazing, kind, smart, funny, and an extraordinary human. You are made in the image of the Lord, which is you are His masterpiece. You are enough. You are strong, and you can do anything that you set your mind to. And I just wanted to let you guys know that today, because you're an extraordinary, irreplaceable human. You are remarkable, and you can do anything that you set your mind to. And I just want to let you guys know that you're enough. And I'm just so thankful to have you guys here. Thank you guys for being my best friends today. Thank you for being with me and talking with me. And I just cannot wait to see what the future holds for us. You guys, remember, who needs a therapist when you have a friend? I'll talk to you guys later.